Hi again then guys, and welcome to another speed build on Forza Horizon 3 in particular, and this is another requested tune for a very popular drift car, a very iconic JDM car from Initial D as well, that helped the car's notoriety, the Toyota AE86 Sprinter Trueno, legendary amongst drifting fans of course. Personally, I don't love this version as much. To be completely honest, I prefer the Corolla with the exposed headlights. I think the front end on that one just looks better, a bit chunkier looking to me. But, of course, it's down to personal preference. Now, as far as upgrades go, of course, as with all of my JDM tunes, it's not a purist's build at all. I would recommend having the 3.2 litre straight six engine. Then for the rest, or the drivetrain specifically, I'd recommend all-wheel drive. Again, drift-happy people won't like that, of course. You don't have to fit all-wheel drive. You will get very similar top-end performance if you don't fit it. The bigger difference is, of course, the launch off the line. So if you don't want to fit it, I'll leave that down to you. As far as the Aspiration, we've got the single-turbo conversion. And then for the rest, it's basically down to you and your intuition. Visuals, of course, are down to personal preference as to whether you want the front bumper, rear bumper, bonnet even, rims, that kind of stuff. Just fit whatever you want. Then for the rest, increase the power as high as you can, lower the weight, all that kind of good stuff. As a general rule, fit all of the racing parts, basically. Now for the tuning side of things, which incidentally is not on my storefront, this is another YouTube exclusive tune. The benchmark is pretty strong, especially for its power. The top-end performance in particular is very good for a car like this. It's not the most aerodynamic of machines, but it can actually give some cars like Skylines even great runs for their money. Now for acceleration, you're looking at just under 3 seconds technically to 60, 6.9 again technically to 100, 256 flat out. That's pretty good for a Sprinter Trueno. For the gearbox, I'd recommend a 2.7 final drive, so it's a pretty long overall ratio. Then for first, we've got 2.9, then 2, 1.5, 1.17, 0.95 and 0.78. So of course those individual gears will be pretty familiar to people who've used my tunes before. You don't really need to get that radical with this vehicle. For alignment, we've got neutral camber, neutral toe, 4 degrees of caster, anti-roll we've got on 31 and 20, springs on 120, 132, and I've opted for the lowest ride height. As far as dampers, I've got those on 14 and 6 respectively. Aero doesn't apply for this car. Now, as far as the diff goes, you can actually improve the benchmark acceleration by reducing the acceleration bias on the diff. Now, as you can see, the 0 to 100 time drops a little bit if you drop it down to 75 on the front, and then if you drop it down to 75 on the back as well, it improves it again. The disadvantage is the handling side of things, and also, as you can see, there was a slight drop in top speed. So it depends what you want, what you're willing to sacrifice, if you want it purely as a straight line machine, or if you want it for cornering as well. So of course that's all down to you. As far as the centre split, I've got it on, as you can see, 75%. Again, that's pretty good for top end speed. If you drop it to 70, you lose a little bit, but you also gain a little bit of launch. So again, it's about your priorities, what you want from the car, what you need from the car, and the kind of all-round ability that you want it to have. But that's it for the rough overview, and as always, there's a ton of room for personal variation. But now, of course, let's actually take it out on the street to see what it can do. Now, although I definitely wouldn't call this a bad handling car by any means, of course it's not, you can still tell at the same time that it is really not designed for that kind of top-end speed. Of course not, no way near. You're going well over 100 miles per hour more than it typically would in real life. And you can feel that. It's a little bit twitchy once you get up around 240, 250, especially when you start dodging traffic. It's not tail-happy as such, it tends to be more the front end, which gets a little bit squirrely. But overall, if you do want to use it as a top-end speed vehicle, as you can see, it definitely has that potential. Now, getting it up to 256 is another thing entirely. You will need a little bit of a clear road and a downhill section, if possible, to get up around 255, 256. Generally speaking, you're looking at more 245, 250 on most roads, which still isn't exactly bad. That's, as I said, rivaling stuff like the RX-8, some of the Skylines even. That's pretty good, considering that the vehicle isn't designed for that. So if you do decide to use this tune, of course I hope you have a lot of fun with it, and there are plenty more, hundreds more in fact, to check out here on the channel. But for now, as always, thanks for watching.